Thank you, Sachin, for taking our time and coming to our today's episode of Mera Pehla Crore. And I'm really excited to speak with you. Went through ConsultTrans.com, that is your company, and I was very intrigued to see that how you are like trying to work in an industry which is like, according to people's opinions, already very saturated by Uber and Ola and Shuttle and some other startups that have ventured into space. So I really want to understand how you ventured into it like 2-3 years back, or if I'm getting the timeline right, and then how are you like going about your business and how is it going so far? So yeah, let's start with your introduction. So please, the stage is all yours.
Sure. Thank you, Osama. Thanks for having this podcast. So about me, born and brought up in Delhi. Post my studies, I started very early. Initially with durables, consumer durables and electronics, into hardcore sales profile, frontline sales profile to say about. My first job was with Ranbaxy, and then that was a short
Nice.
tenure, and then with Usha International and with LG. So this was about a stint of about collectively about 7-8 years. And post that, I've been a part of service industry, and probably I'll be completing 2 decades next year in the service industry.
That's great.
Having spent close to about 20 years in service industry, one of the important learnings is the customer is God.
Yeah.
Even if it is a product industry,
Yeah.
but customer is God, and how well you service the client is the utmost important.
Yeah.
Right. So initially with sales and bit of operations, I dirtied my hand on ground. And in the last close to about 7-8 years, I've been into leadership roles. And prior to forming this company, ConsultTrans, I was the CEO for the company. In that assignment, for about 3.5 years, I took over as a CEO in 2018 with just about 2 people, and we started bootstrap. And before I left in 2021, it was 100+ people.
Right.
So
So
I
this is
love,
before ConsultTrans.
yeah, this was before ConsultTrans. So I love driving companies and growing, starting bootstrap. And that's what we are trying to replicate here in ConsultTrans as well. We call it CT, right? So ConsultTrans is an abbreviated name, consult and transport. So
Got
we
it.
are in a very, very niche space. Unlike a transport management company or unlike a fleet management company, we do consulting on transportation.
All right.
Right? Not many companies go for it, but see, if you see in terms of the potential, you just not said that Olas and Ubers and shuttles. So they are into B2C space, and we are into
Right.
B2B, first of all.
Right.
We see immense potential in this industry because if you see for a large corporate, an IT's company, transport is a third largest spend after real estate and salaries.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of potential and opportunities that lie with any of us. Talking about consulting, what we do is any of these large foreign banks or an ITS will have a spend in crores. Probably there are a few banks who spend over 100 CR on transportation. There are some of the large IT companies who spend close to 500+ CR on transportation. And we see huge pilferage happening, in managing the transport operations. So our role as a consultant is to try and optimize it, carry out a complete study, diagnosis of the operations, share our recommendation share gaps and our recommendations in order to run an efficient operations for these companies, right?
Mhm.
And we as an organization, we have been able to optimize the cost to the extent of 28-30%.
All right.
Imagine the kind of spend these companies have,
Right.
and
It's a lot. 30% is a lot.
Yeah. So that kind of a saving which we have been able to bring in for these companies. And, these, if you talk about transport operations on ground, this takes up a lot of time for a FM leader, right? It takes probably 70-80% of their time. So the other thing that we do is we help them manage this piece on a completely end-to-end model, which we call it as a managed mobility, right? So we also call ourselves CBRE of transport. So typically, so typically a large IT company no longer have to uh, have contracts with multiple suppliers for fleet, probably a technology company, and have these boys to manage the transport desk. They can engage with ConsultTrans, and we do it all for them.
Got it.
They consolidate the entire requirements, give it to us, and we will manage a completely SLA-based operations, deploying our teams, a SaaS, and bringing in vehicles.
Okay.
So why a corporate should outsource this? This saves a lot of time and energy for them.
Right.
They no longer have to deal with multiple suppliers.
Yeah.
Transport, as I said, is a very, very painful activity for these FM leaders. So we take all that pain.
Yeah. It's also risky, right? There's also a lot of
It's coming to that. There's a lot of risk involved. Because if you talk about FM is something, cafeteria management, FM is something which you manage it in-house.
Right.
Whereas transport, it's all outside your premises.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of risk that these companies carry. So we take over that risk as well.
Yeah.
We cover them through various insurances. So we take over that risk as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, when they do this consolidation, besides saving time and energy, they also save cost substantially.
Right.
And we have also been able to enhance the overall SLAs for these customers. So, what's in it for the end customer or the employees? So better service levels.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a win-win for all. So there's an employee, there is an FM leader, and there is us.
Yeah.
Right? Also, our approach is very, very different because an organization is already running this operations for many, many years. They will have some partners, suppliers who are supporting them.
Yeah.
They will have certain number of people, X number of people who are, managing the transport desk, doing all kind of coordination. So we also try and take over those boys. We also try and absorb those vendors and suppliers as well.
All right. Under city.
Yeah, under city. So that's the model. So there is win-win for everyone. There is client, there's an employee, there's leadership, there is the vendors who are working, who are part of that ecosystem. There is this team. So we recently did a transition for a large client. It's a BPO. They provide commute to around 2,500 employees.
Got it.
They used to with 7 vendors, 7 suppliers, fleet partners. When this client decided to give the contract to ConsultTrans, we took over four of these partners, and of course they were recommended by the client, and we took over around 70% of the team as well. Right. And these guys, when they were working with that that client, they were managing a non-core piece. But for us, it's a core business. Yeah. So they are always in limelight, and then they see growth opportunities with ConsultTrans here.
Right.
That is the difference. Why the transport guy is likely to grow in an environment like this, not there.
Right.
So there's a win-win for that employee also, whom we've put on our on roles.
Payroll. Yeah. Right. And so, how big is ConsultTrans right now? Like, how long has it been for you guys, and how many clients have you serviced till now?
So currently we service 7 clients.
All right.
And we are a profitable company in 2024 already. It's been 3 years, but practically speaking, we are 1.5 years old company because 1.5 year went into COVID.
Yeah, 100%. So
right?
everyone was, yeah,
Yeah.
missing out
So,
time.
yeah, so our revenues are in double digits,
Yeah.
year ending March 2024.
All right,
Yeah.
that's great. So you've been able to recuperate for the lost time now, like coming 2024, and inshallah you will grow much more because so I don't know if you know if you went through like my experience. So I started my career in life with BPOs, market research organization. So I can completely relate to what you're telling me. There are like thousands of employees, and then there's like cab services that the company is providing, and there's like odd hours that are like shift hours that are going around the clock, right? And there are women employees whose safety needs to be kept in check because you can't just send them alone. So they like we used to like one guy. If there are four people in the like cab, so one guy used to be responsible, even if your house is coming first, but the women's house is coming later. So you need to drop her first, and then you get dropped. So you like there were shared responsibilities among the team also. So I can completely understand the kind of value that you might be bringing into these all kind of organizations because they're huge, and nobody likes to manage that headache that who consults with the vendor who misses out on cab and this and that. So if you solve it, I think that's a great problem to solve, and you might
So
find a
the
lot
other
of
thing,
like-minded people.
yeah, just to add, the change which has happened is that that male colleague no longer has to drop that female colleague. There are escorts being deployed these days for a few
All
years
right.
now.
All right.
So if there's a first women pickup in dark hours or a last women drop, right, during those
Yeah.
window, those dark hours, there'll be, it's a mandate that there'll be an escort guard which will be deployed.
All right.
Either if there's a possibility, either you try and make a route like this, that there are no females in the first pickup or a last drop. If that
Okay.
possibility is not there, and there's too
Mm.
much of a deviation, then you deploy an escort guard.
All right.
So that is how it works these days. Uh, you see, there are four components of this service, which is the vehicles,
Yeah.
there is a technology,
Yeah.
and there is team. And the fourth component is this escort guard, which is again equally important,
Right.
right? So to relieve these FM leaders or the procurement leaders from all that pain, we to take over all of them,
Yeah.
not just the vehicles, not just the technology,
Hmm.
not just the team, even the escort guards,
Yeah.
right? Because uh, you got to be very, very particular when and how the escort needs to be deployed,
Hmm.
right? So even we take over those escorts as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Mm, mm. That's good actually. So that makes a lot more sense because like what I was telling you was pretty impractical after a point because uh like the male colleague gets like has to travel more and it takes like in the dark, especially odd hours, it just used to be a lot of pain going on like back and forth from one place to another. But having said that, I also want to understand what made you interested in this field. Like this is a like I never heard anyone looking for a solution because everyone was like, oh, I know a guy, oh, I know a guy, and everyone knows some taxi vendor, and they're never looking for a company to solve this problem. Like at least in my experience. So what made you? What led you to like? Was it your previous company where you scaled it up to 100 employees and you realized this is a big gap to solve? Did that help you?
Yeah, good question. Some also uh, gone are the days when companies used to engage with suppliers like that. There's a proper RFP process which takes place as and when a company has to engage with such suppliers. Why? Because, as I said, this is the third largest spend for any organization.
Yeah.
Why I decided to get into transport was that, uh, as I said, I've been into B2B sales right through the beginning. During my
Right.
durable days or during my pharma days as well. So I was quite passionate to uh, sell these institutions right from very beginning.
Yeah.
And as I said, transport is the third largest spend. So I had
Yeah.
only two choices: either I get into real estate or I get into transport.
Yeah.
So whichever came my way, I picked up that.
Yeah,
So
makes
hence
sense.
transport.
Makes sense. But coming back to what you just said, that you've done a lot of B2B sales, and I have been somewhat a part of sales, like for 4 or 5 years of my life, and I really, really love it. And but when you used to do sales, I think like 20 years ago, it was a pre-digital era. Like I'm pretty sure that sales looked very different then than it does now. So how did you go about selling to B2B businesses? Because from my experience, like I'm sure many other salespeople would agree, that salespeople are not very well entertained in these B2B like complexes. They're just like, oh, leave your brochure and go back. So how did you solve for that problem? Like how, like at that point of time, like early 2000s, how were you trying to sell to big organizations? Because you work for some big brands.
Yeah, good question, Sama. So I was fortunate enough to work with the leaders
Yeah.
in whichever industry I've been a part of.
Yeah.
And getting an entry into a corporate, if you're carrying a tag of a big brand, it does help, right?
Okay.
So I will not say it was a cakewalk,
Yeah.
but at least to get to meet a decision maker, at least we used to get an entry,
All right.
right? And then once you get an entry, and it's all about a person to person, and if you are
Yeah.
good enough, and if you are really bringing a value, you should get through. And I'm a strong believer. Uh, any salesperson or any business person, I would say, should always think about offering value on table.
Yeah.
If your thought process is like that, you will win. You'll be successful.
100%. That's very true. Because a lot of times in the movies, we just show, like, I don't like it when they show that salespeople are like these thieves who are just out, like hyenas who are just out to get clients, and they'll do or say anything just to sell their services. I think that's a wrong portrayal of salespeople. I think like majority of the salespeople don't work like that because they know that's not recurring. Like you might be able to cheat a customer or two, but you have to build a career in sales. You will be known for what you do, and like karma gets you, right. Like what goes around comes around. So you end up like paying for what you did to someone else. You might lose out your job and you might not get hired later because of the word spread. So I don't think it's that easy that we shown in like Wolf of Wall Street that you can say anything and you can sell anything. Maybe in 80s, but not anymore. Like I don't know what used to happen then. I at least know what's been happening the last 10-15 years. It doesn't work like that. And I just feel bad that it's being portrayed in a bad light because you ask a lot of youngsters what job they do want to do, not many people will tell you sales, even though they might be best suited for sales. But I think it's a very low friction entry level job because people don't consider sales. They end up staying like unemployed for longer than they should because they don't actually think that through. That they're looking for a technical job, they're looking for a back end job, like not customer facing job. But sales jobs, everyone is looking for a salesperson. Tell me one good company who's not looking for a salesperson at any given point of time. If you have too much product to sell, you have need too many people to sell, right? You can't just cater to people who come to you. You need to go out there and find new people.
You see, my take on this, Osama, is I always look at myself like a business person, not like a salesperson.
Yeah.
Right? So somebody who has knack of doing business, somebody who has knack of meeting people will excel in sales or in business, right?
Yeah.
I would not call it a salesperson. I would call someone who is excited about building a brand, excited about meeting people, should be called a business person, not a salesperson, actually.
I get
Right?
that.
Because you see, any entrepreneur you see, right? So many startups coming up, any entrepreneur that you see, the base is sales, actually.
Yeah.
Right? The guy is selling to
Yeah.
his own team or to an external customer.
100%.
So day in, day out, we all are selling.
Yeah. We just don't
Somebody
realize
who's,
it.
yeah, so we all sell. Even within your family, you
Yeah.
day in, day out, you're selling only. Somebody who is able to do well in sales can be successful in business, is how I
Yeah.
look at it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, sales is it's not just sales. Uh, Somebody who's a good business leader, he is a package of lot of things other than sales,
Yeah.
and that's makes someone successful. That makes someone a good sales leader. You can call it,
Yeah. Yeah. I get that.
right? So
I completely agree.
if somebody wants to pursue his or her career in sales, he or she should look at a holistic approach,
Yeah.
as to how one should build, the career, right?
Yeah.
Not just selling, selling, selling.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
100%. But I was just saying that people don't consider sales. Like a lot of young people don't consider sales as a good option. Like, oh, so that is my like concern with these like type of career choices, because I think because of sales, not just the selling part, because like what you said, that you need to be good at many things in order to be able to sell better and then do business better in general. So I when I worked in a software startup, I can't sell without learning about the software. So I need to learn about the software and the competition and the nitty-gritties of that software and the other likes of software in order to be able to sell better. So that not just only told me how to sell, that told me a lot about software, and that's where my technical knowledge came from. And similarly, when you must have like worked at Ranbaxy, I don't think you might have sold anything without knowing what medicine is all about and
Yeah.
other kinds of medicine. Like you might get rebuttals that Dolo is better than Panadol, but is Panadol working on 5 different things together, or like just one thing? Is it a specialist or a generalist? So you need to know about not just your own product, but also a similar products. So like in that spectrum of things, think about it. Like you are learning not just about your skill or your art, but also like the knowledge that comes with it without going to learn medicine, without doing a like biological course or any like biology related course in college or anything, just out of commerce, like or maybe arts, but you learn about the biology of it and the chemical side of it as well. So I think that's very beautiful about sales. People don't understand that. People don't look at it like that, and that's where they miss out on the beauty of sales.
Yeah, great. So the other thing, as they say, sales is complete when money is collected.
Yeah,
Well, it's a whole cycle.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Painful
I would
cycle.
have sold. Yeah, so I've sold my thing to a customer a month ago,
Yeah,
but the payment is coming after 30 days. So there's a whole lot of journey of that 1 month,
yeah,
till such time you get the payment. So
yeah,
in that journey, you do sales, you do operations,
yeah.
you do account management, and then
You do.
you emit the bill, right?
Yeah,
And then you collect the payment.
yeah, yeah. You
So
do customer success also. Like you maintain the customer
then you do
relationship
customer
after
success
the sale,
also.
after sales also, because you know if you mess this up right now, the order can be cancelled even now. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah. So that's the reason I said a salesperson is not a salesperson; he's a business
yeah,
person.
yeah, 100%.
At
I
least you have to
completely
be
agree.
jacks of all to be in
Yeah,
order to be a good salesperson or in order to be a
yeah,
good business person,
yeah,
right?
100%. You need to be a jack of all trades.
So if any of those things is missing, your skill set, you're not be able to do well, right?
Yeah,
You should know how does the operations handle, how the
yeah,
customer needs to be handled, what are the pain points of the customer and how you're resolving them, and
yeah,
then how the bills are submitted, correct bill submission, and then to be able to collect the payments in time is also very, very challenging
yeah,
sometimes in few of the
yeah,
industries.
yeah, yeah,
So you
100%.
go through the entire service cycle of the customer
Yeah,
as
yeah,
a salesperson.
100%. And I don't know, like if I'm technically correct, but like the essence of what I learned from someone I know was that just like according to law, the companies need to make the payment uh, to their vendors within a period of 45 days. Like they can't extend that, otherwise they will be fined or something, or some tax problem will come, right? Or 45 to 60 days, whatever the but companies like L&T take like 120 days or 100 days to like clear an invoice, and they will manage their taxes accordingly, and then they'll just like, they don't care about the timeline, they just are doing it on their own. I'm just thinking out loud that like managing for salespeople to manage that timeline, that sales cycle after post sales, it's so critical then, and it's just very difficult because I've done like real estate sales also. These used to go bad, like they used to get like booking amount, and then we had to reverse it back because the vastu didn't match, or for lack of a better word, like this is what really happened. Like one of my biggest deals canceled because after the booking amount, because um, uh, the CEO of the company or someone from like board did not like the vastu of that building, and hence the deal had to be cancelled. So you never know what might come your way, but as a good person, you need to because booking amount is non-refundable, but we still refund it because just to keep the good faith between the clients and us. So yeah, it's a very difficult and challenging venture in itself.
So
But I
how
would,
it works is,
yeah,
Osama, when you say 45 days, it is basically for the companies which are registered in MSME.
yeah,
But so let's say, for instance, let's take a case of a L&T or a XYZ. They may have a policy of paying in 90 days or let's say 120 days. So there are companies like that. So there are companies who will pay you in 30 days. There are companies who will pay you in 120 days.
yeah.
And sometimes it goes beyond that also, right?
Oh, really?
So, but a company who has a policy of paying in 120 days or 90 days will still have to pay to an MSME supplier in 45 days.
Oh, okay.
So that, yeah, so that company XYZ has 4 suppliers and 2 of them are MSME suppliers. They will still be paid in 45 days.
Okay.
So they participated in the RFPs and tenders wherein the RFP clearly states that we have a policy of paying in 90 days or 120 days.
Mhm.
If you are registered under MSME, right, please share your MSME certificate and those suppliers will be paid in 45 days.
All right. So they have differential cycles.
Yeah, so it is a mandate that they have to make the payments within 45 days to an MSME supplier.
Got it.
The rest of them, so what we have seen is, so there are IT companies, there are BPOs, I mean, there are targeted customers, there are banks, and then there are set of companies like which are primarily into manufacturing. So manufacturing companies, it has been seen that the payment cycle is on a higher side, 60 days, 90
Okay.
days, 120 days. But the customer is around 30 to 45 days or probably 60 days is how it works.
All right. So, oh, what type of a profit margin do you typically look at with CT, like in this commute or
The industry
transportation
works on,
industry?
yeah, the industry works on around 70 to 18% of gross and probably 5 to 6% of net profit.
All right. All right. So now, like currently, you're working with on outsourced parties, like different vendors and different fleet, like they all have their own fleet with the like you're the connector of all parties, right? You're working as an aggregator, as like essentially. So looking forward, do you think that you will also be compelled to launch your own fleet and with your own personnel, with your own payroll, on your own payroll, and to be able to assure quality better and manage costs better?
So first of all, quality doesn't come by owning these vehicles. It's a myth,
Okay.
right? We are in business of managing people, not managing vehicles.
All right. That's very well put.
Thought process is very, very different here,
Right.
right? So, and when we started CT also, the objective is very, very clear that I do not want to compete with these transport companies or fleet management companies. We have created a niche for ourselves. It's a consulting approach. It is not, we don't want to be one of the suppliers at ABC.
Mhm.
Either the client decides to give the entire operations to us, or we are not there.
Okay.
That's the approach that we use. So client, let's say if the client has a spend of 50 CR and client wants to engage with four different suppliers, we'll probably not participate in the RFP.
Okay. What is RFP?
Request for proposal.
Request. All right.
It's like a tendering process,
Mhm.
right? So, but the same client wishes is looking at transforming their operations, want some value, not just a conventional way of managing the operations.
Mhm.
We are confident that we can give good value to the customer both in terms of optimizing the cost as well as enhancing the service delivery
Mhm.
or the user experience,
Mhm. Right.
right? So, yeah, so then in that case, CT will manage the entire transport portfolio for them.
All right. Got it. Got it. So, what's your target for the next year, like 2025? What are some milestones that you want to achieve with CT?
So next 5 years, we should be doubling every year on year. That's
All
what the
right.
plan is. Yeah. So
That's
as
great.
I said, it's just about 1.5 years. Next 1 year, we should be doubling. And uh, I mean, probably 25, 26, we want to have a global footprint as far as our business is concerned. Currently, we operate out of 14 locations in India. And next year, we'll have some of the some operations outside India as well.
Oh, that's interesting. And that's very interesting. And so, how big is your team right now?
Currently, we are 60 people.
60 people that are on your payroll for CT.
Yeah.
And what kind of like job job titles do they hold? Like majority, like in general, like what are the most people that you have?
See, if I talk about our industry, so there are three set of people that you have. A, of course, the leadership team, and 80% of it, or maybe 80 to 85% of it, is the operations.
Yeah.
The guy who the team that works on ground at site, client site. And so, excuse me, 80%, 80 to 85% of team is at the sites, managing the operations, customer success, billing, payments, etc., etc. And then you have an analytics team because we do a lot of analytics when we pick up a consulting project. So then you have a couple of guys into analytics as well. So that's how it is structured. So 80, 85 is operations primarily for any company you take in this industry.
All right. And uh, but I had a question. I completely know lost it. But what I was thinking was that, like, do you also have a dashboard, like a tech dashboard for your clients where they can review the like where
You
the
can't
employees are going?
you can't run transport operations without dashboard, without SaaS. These are
Yeah.
excellent dashboards, so when I say when we take over an operations, the client will still have the complete visibility of operations through these dashboards.
All right.
How many trips are happening? What's the in time? What's the how many people have reached in time? What percentage of people? That's something called as OTA, on time arrival. Something called
Okay.
as OTD, on time departure. How
Okay.
many people came in time in a particular shift? How many people left in a particular shift? Right?
Okay.
What percentage were in time? Right? So all that. Then there are a couple of no shows. X percentage of no shows that happen. The cost.
Mhm.
All these KPIs are measured on a day-to-day basis,
Mhm.
and client has a complete view of this dashboard as and when they want to have a look at.
That's great. And uh, one thing that I was asking you, like in other words previously also, but I'll just rephrase it again. Oh, So you are running a niche business, but why can't Ola and Uber replicate what you are doing? Like, they also try to get in corporate deals. I have worked in some companies in the past who had corporate tie-ups with Ola or Uber separately with the company's dashboard and everything. So, how like do they not want to solve for big companies because they want to work with smaller startups where there's not a lot of fleet required and like regular fleet required? So, but what is the case? Like, have you ever faced a situation where you had to compete with Ola Uber for some RFP?
Not much, but you see, if you look at these two players, they're primarily into B2C space. And if you see the difference between B2B and B2C is the thought process. So when you talk about these aggregators like Ola and Uber, they've made an app. They they are they are just rotating the vehicles, right? Each of the Ola or Uber vehicle does around 10 to 12 trips in a day.
Yeah.
Right. So somewhere I feel that quality is compromised, compliances are compromised big time, right? And these companies, why do they, in the first place, why do these companies have people like us? Why can't they give this some allowance to their employees and ask them to come by a public transport? Okay. Why? Because it is in their interest to ensure that the employees reach in time, because it has a direct impact on their operations or on their business. Right? So, in order to ensure that all the employees come in time, or X% is 98% or 97% people come in time, they facilitate them with the commute facility. Now, when you talk about, coming back to your question again, when you talk about these aggregators who are primarily into B2C space, the way they handle a customer or the way they manage the operations is very, very different from what the expectation is for a B2B customer. Right? So there are certain key deliverables which are being compromised when you talk about B2C. Yeah, so you must have seen, and please note that the set of vehicles which are being used for B2C are going to be deployed for B2B customer also. So look at the driver, how driver behaves in B2C. You can expect the same behavior from the driver in B2B also when you talk about engaging with these so-called aggregators. And that is where the quality gets compromised.
Right.
So that is the biggest differentiator. The service levels expectation is very, very different in case of a B2B operations than B2C.
Okay. And how many cars are you like currently managing in your brand?
So we don't own any vehicles. We work with 100 plus partners across the country, right?
But how many
So there are
cars still do they have?
6,000 plus vehicles.
6,000 plus.
That's the bandwidth that we have. We don't use that many vehicles as of now, but that's the kind of bandwidth that we have. We have MOUs signed with these partners. And as and when we sign a client, these vehicles are available for us.
Okay. And 6,000 like capacity, 100% capacity that you have 6,000 plus. So do you ever think of like, because office hours are very fixed, right? They're like 9 to 5 or 8 to 10 or something, like 6 to 3. But outside of that, do you think of venturing into smaller B2B contracts, like with some hotels or some, let's say, where there is an ad hoc based need, but also needs a corporate feel, B2B feel? So do you also approach hotels, like hotel chains for their business?
So, Osama, there are within B2B, you can categorize the operations into three different verticals. A is the uh, hotels, wherein the service expectations is very, very different from a BPO. Like I was talking to you about Ola and Uber. The service expectation is very, very different.
Right.
B is the within a corporate, within a BPO, or within an IT company or a bank, you have ad hoc kind of requirements,
Mhm.
right? There, the service expectation is different. C, wherein you provide a daily commute, right? Osama uses the vehicle for home pickup and drop, or Osama's employer provides this facility to Osama. Every day, morning he gets picked up, and evening he's dropped back home. So that's the third category of service. Now, the service expectations in all these three categories is very, very different. You cannot compare the hotel service with that BPO or associate
Mhm.
and even that ad hoc usage. Who uses this ad hoc vehicle? It is these sales people for these
Yeah.
organizations,
Field sales.
probably the leadership team, or sometimes the expats working for these companies, MNCs. These are the people who use this, make this, use these ad hoc vehicles.
Yeah.
Look, they're relatively senior to the guys who use the regular transport,
Yeah.
right? So again, this service expectation is very, very different from the daily commute. And that's, you use this word, rightly use this word, ad hoc usage, or ad hoc rentals also it is called. And
Right.
sometimes it is outstation usage also. That also falls under ad hoc usage.
Yeah.
So talking about CT, ConsultTrans, if you see the scale, hotels at best will have a requirement of 10, 15, 20 vehicles.
Yeah.
The biggest of the hotel will have that much of requirement only. Even if you talk about ad hoc rentals, it is in India, it is just about 10 to 15% of daily employee commute.
Mm. Yeah.
And as I said, ConsultTrans is an organization. We believe in not just giving X number of vehicles, we believe in adding some value.
Yeah.
And value can only be added when you have scale of operations.
True.
So hence, uh, uh, we don't intend to get into hotels. We are primarily focusing on the daily employee commute, which is called as employee transportation,
Mhm.
and some of it the ad hoc uh, usage also,
Okay.
right? But the value can be added in employee transportation because that is where you have scale,
Right.
fairly large operations. Yeah.
Right.
You know, how do we optimize the cost? By better utilization of the resources.
Right.
And in this case, what are the resources? It is the vehicles.
Right.
Should be able to rotate the vehicles, right? You should be able to maximize the usage of the capacity available, right?
Mhm.
Better routing, right? 5, 6 people going in a route rather than sending two sedans. You can send an SUV. Or
Right.
10 people going in a route in a route, send a bigger vehicle rather than sending three
Right.
sedans, or combination of an SUV or a sedan.
Right.
So that's this. So you have to do various permutation combination, and you have to keep doing it on a daily basis, making best use of the technology available, and that's how you optimize the cost.
Right. Right. So, one question that we ask most of our guests, like since you started like 3 years ago, effectively 1.5 years ago, uh, how much time did it take for you as a business to reach your first crore?
It took about little more than 1.5 years. we're fortunate enough to sign the first 1 CR in the year 2.
All right. And and now you're in double digits.
Sorry, come again?
Now you're aiming for double digits for this financial year.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's great. And I hope it doubles down in the next year. And well, one last question before we wrap this up, because I want to respect your time. So you are operating in 14 cities, you said. So as per your analysis, what city do you think is has the most demand for your service?
So I will not name one city.
Mhm.
There are 3 cities where we see huge potential.
Mhm.
Bangalore would be on the top.
Right.
For the simple reason you have all these IT giants there in
Yeah,
Bangalore.
100%.
Hyderabad is really picking up well, and
Oh,
looks
really?
like Hyderabad will beat Bangalore in the next couple of years.
Really? So that
Yeah.
means the employment was also going up there.
Yeah, it is. Followed by Delhi, NCR, I would say.
Right. Because I don't think Delhi in itself has a lot of BPOs compared to Gurgaon and Noida and Hyderabad, probably. Am I right?
You see, whichever company has a base or headquartered in Bangalore will definitely have a presence in NCR as well.
But I'm saying in Delhi, it's mostly based out of like NCR region, not Delhi itself, right? Like it would
No,
be Gurgaon.
I mean NCR. Yeah, I mean NCR, not just Delhi.
Yeah.
I mean NCR.
But Delhi in itself does not have a lot of BPOs, is what I'm asking. Like, if you have any idea.
No, Delhi per se will not have BPO, but yeah, they're there in Gurgaon or Noida. All these companies who are headquartered probably in South will have
Mhm.
some presence in either Gurgaon or in Noida.
Correct, correct. Makes sense. So your top three picks are Bangalore, followed by Hyderabad, and followed by Delhi NCR. This is where you see the
True.
most potential. This is where you're looking doubling down in the next couple of years to grow your revenue further.
True.
It's great. These are great insights. And yeah, I think this is only it. I don't have a lot of any more questions. I think I've learned a lot about your particular industry and how the transportation. I used to have an idea. I think I have a much deeper idea of how things work in particular transportation. I did not. I had an idea of like transportation is a big cost. I did not know that it's the third largest expense of a big company. So it's like I learned a lot, and thank you so much, Sachin, for imparting your wisdom with us and helping us out with that, like understanding your industry, your business better, and being so candid about your journey. And I really, really hope that it all works out. You're able to achieve all the greatness for CT, and we are able to say that we were one of the early believers in the CT journey in the next 5 years to come. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Osama. It was a pleasure talking to you. And thanks for
Likewise.
having me here on this podcast. It was lovely interacting with you. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. I'll just stop the recording now.